G'day everyone, it's Nick from the Talking Power podcast, and we've got another episode of Stories from the Garage for you. On this episode, we catch up with Brendan Franklin. Now, Brendan's been building his HZ Kingswood since he was 14 years old. He's finished it once, and he's going to be starting another rebuild on the car. He's still got the car to this very day. So we catch up with Brendan. Brendan also runs Because Race Car. It's a YouTube channel and a Facebook page where he covers a whole lot of radial racing in Western Australia, and he's down at the Motorplex quite frequently. So if you're watching this podcast, make sure you shoot over there and subscribe to his channel as well. All right, let's catch up with Brendan.
Talk and Power, your motorsport and motoring radio show. Podcasting across iTunes and talkandpower.com.au.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Stories from the Garage. And on this episode, we have with us a listener of the podcast, Brendan Franklin. Brendan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Look, tell us a little bit about, before you get stuck into your car and the story from the garage, just give yourself a bit of a plug. I know Because Race Car, give that a bit of a plug, the YouTube channel and what you do there.
Yeah, so I've been going down the drag since I was little, trying to stay involved as I can. We had family friends that used to race at Ravenswood and then moved out to Kwinana, so I've been going there for a pretty long time. And mention of building a car racing as well. So to get myself more involved and learn along the way, ended up starting to film. I mean, the amount of YouTube I watch from over east in America doing a similar sort of thing. I thought, there's not really a lot of it happening here, so I'll give it a go. And last season, pretty much spent the whole time with the boys filming and trying to get as many cars as I can on there, and it's turned out really well. It's had a really good, lot of good feedback, and I've enjoyed it.
Oh, it's good. No, it's good. Look, I mean, I watched a fair bit of your content, and I've really enjoyed it. You seem to follow the radial stuff quite avidly, which is a passion of ours as well, which you share. So, tell us a little bit about that. Is you crewing for someone in particular as well?
No, not in particular. I mean, it's sort of when I started out doing it, the first few races, our family friends, the Piscaneri, so Ben's racing his single overhead cam Mustang there now. So. Started out, Ben was the first car I filmed, so I obviously got to spend a fair bit of time with those guys, and then each round sort of picked a different car and then helped them out where I could, but in between rounds when I wasn't really filming, and learn a whole lot of stuff. So
yeah,
it was good. It was great experience. I'm looking forward to next season. Yeah.
Well, that makes a few of us as well, and there's quite a few races that this season was cut a bit short, a couple of races short, so I'm sure they're all itching to get back into it.
Yep.
All right, Brendan, tell us your story from your garage. You sent me through some photos last week, and I must admit I was impressed. Those that know me, I'm a Ford man, but I've always had a soft spot for the from that HJ. Really, I'd say really from the G. K, that era right through to the sort of early Commodores. I've always had a soft spot, but the HZ in particular, there's a few of them going around in Stirling in our particular area.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your HZ.
Yeah, I mean, they're starting to come out now. So I originally, going back before I had my license, was our neighbour had a H, old back then. Like Dad had old cars, he had Tiranas and that sort of thing. So I originally wanted to buy a HQ, but because they raced them at Barbagallo, the parts were quite hard to get. So we ended up, we were looking through Quokka and all the newspapers back then, and found a HZ roller, unlicensed. So I think I bought that when I was 14, 15. So that was a 253 Trimatic. Took it home. Pretty much the first thing I did was pull it to pieces. So the one thing I regret, looking back on that, is not actually taking a photo before I pulled it down.
Yeah.
Because the only photos I've got, after it's all either in pieces or, putting it all back together. So, 253, we switched the Trimatic out to an all Aussie 4-speed because I wanted to learn in a manual. So basically learn how to drive in that car. And then as soon as I got off my P's, put a 308 in it because at that time, I was allowed a V8, but the biggest I was allowed to get, the old man was going to let me have was a 253. So it was all all noise. It was great fun for someone that age. It wasn't too powerful, that sort of thing. So yeah, the minute I could do that, 308 went in, and then I bought a 350 block for it. With the intention of building, something you see at a street machine in it, until obviously the financial side of that sort of hit me and realised that wasn't going to happen the way I wanted. So I bought a running 350, and that's actually what it's still got in it now. So
wow.
I drove that car every day. That was the only car I had for probably maybe 4 or 5 years, and then sort of turned it into a weekender, I guess. And then it's probably sat there over 15 years, I reckon now, 10 to 15 years. So it hasn't been driven a lot lately. It needs a bit of love. It's it definitely copped a good workout as a P plater, doing all the silly things you do, taking it up dirt tracks and just being young, I guess. So it needs a freshen up. I've got a couple of things in the works that I want to do to it, and started collecting parts again for it, so I can do a bit of putting it back to, not so much putting it to how I was, keeping it how I want it, but it's not an original car, so I'm not too phased if it's if it gets done the way I want it.
No. I'll just stop you there for a sec. Let's just go back. So you were, correct me if I'm wrong, if I heard right, but you were 13 or 14 when you first got the car.
Yeah, it would have been about 14, 15, I think, yeah. So well before I had my license, yeah. And I actually did my driving test in the learner's car, because it was a lot easier to do back then than try and do it in this car. Not because of the car, but just because of the licensing sort of thing in general. And then, that day I was driving that around. So, yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. In my mind, I think, getting a car from before you get your license, it doesn't necessarily translate to being a better driver, but I feel that it enhances your ability to drive the car better if you've been working on it from long before you were legally able to drive it. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, I think so. And then, learning, obviously had a lot of help from the old man and friends around us. Peter Piscaneri built the motor, that sort of thing. But just understanding the car, I think, a bit better. We had that thing pretty much to, nuts and bolts basically. So putting it all back together. Actually learning before I'd even got into a learner's car. As soon as the manual went into that car, I think we had just about a milk crate in there. There was no seats in it, and just practicing, in and out of the driveway, trying to get a, feel for the clutch and how manuals work and that sort of things.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I think. Do you feel like in today's era we're kind of missing that? I don't know of too many. Like my two sons, if one of them's 12, I can't imagine him getting a car in the next couple of years and him putting it together. I mean, he'll be the sort of kid that probably doesn't get a license till he's 20. So, I mean, is that what we're missing today, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you don't see it around as often. I mean, unless the kids have a real drive to do it. I think there's other things that are, more at that time. That's all I wanted to do. Every dollar I'd saved from doing paper rounds and I worked at a nursery pretty much went into the car. So I didn't, have any interest in spending money on anything else.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And I love hearing these sort of stories as well. It's quite very interesting. I like your story is very similar. It must be something with the HZs. I know a few guys that have had their HJs and HZs long before. Another listener to the podcast, actually, he had his long before he got his license and still has it to this very day as well. So very similar to your story. So Brendan, just tell us, I mean, at this stage, you still didn't have your driver's license. How did you go about collecting parts and bits and pieces for the car?
So a lot of it was obviously the parents. So I'd be, on the weekends when I wasn't working on the car, I was waiting on things, going through Quokka and any means back then, because we didn't have, there wasn't online marketplace like there is now. So you'd be scouring newspapers and things for parts. So I picked up bits and pieces here and there. Like I'd, sit by the phone, ringing everyone for bits and pieces. But some of the really unique things I got for the car, and that sort of were all as a package. So I used to ride to my mates on the weekends or whatever. And I remember couldn't see exactly what it was, but it looked like a H something. It was a HQ HZ sedan under a cover. On the way to his house. And then one day I thought, you know what, because I could just see the cover was just high enough to see the wheels on it, and it looked like it had, the GDS wheels. So, it took a while. It was probably 3 to 4 months, I reckon, of riding past this car. And then one day I thought, I'll just go knock on the door because it's sitting there. It's not doing anything. It doesn't look like they're, restoring it at the moment. So I can only go and ask and see what they say. So I knocked on the door, and it ended up being a genuine HX GDS, a yellow one. And back then I was only, it would have been 14 or 15, so I was pretty young, So I thought I'd go and ask them, see if they were keen on parting it out, and they had a bit of a think about it. And I think I came back the next day or the day after and sort of chased it up, and they're like, "Yeah, what did you want on it?" I was like, "Oh wow." I should have taken the whole car, but again, it was pretty much the whole garage alone was taken up from my car anyway, so that was not an option. So I think I got a fair bit of stuff off it. I think I got all the interior. I got the rear spoiler, got the wheels. I think the front end I'd already sourced, so I didn't grab that because I went to a dual headlight front end, and the HX was still the single, which is what I originally had before I pulled the car to pieces.
Yep.
The only thing I didn't grab, it wouldn't have mattered anyway, because my car, it's not a HZ GDS, even though it's set up as a HZ / everything now, was the actual tags off the car. So I don't know what happened to that car after I grabbed all the parts off it. Obviously, it had no wheels, and it wasn't such a roller anymore. But I don't know. It's just lucky, I guess.
Yeah. It's all about timing, isn't it? In life,
oh, exactly,
with lots of things, and building a car is a perfect example of that. It's all about timing. So that's funny that that sequence of events. You riding to your friend's house, as you were saying, as a kid, as a 14-year-old, backwards and forwards. I think you said it was your best friend riding backwards and forwards on your push bike, and you're riding past the car that happened to have all the bits you need.
One of the cars that inspired me was obviously my neighbour's HQ, so that had a 202. It was a tough looking car. It had the Hornet scoop on the bonnet. It looked tough, but it had a 202, so it didn't quite sound. Everyone wanted their car to sound. So for me to get a 253, which was all noise, was awesome. It had the V8 sound, which everyone wanted. And then I remember one of our other neighbours, and I didn't even know he had it for a while. He also had a HQ, but I'd never seen it out. Like the next door neighbour, that was, I think, it would have been pretty close to his first car as well. So I used to park it out the front, which is where I got that photo of it, the blue one. But our other neighbour, he was, obviously about my parents' age. So he was one of the dads in the neighbourhood. He had a little garage out the back of his house as well. And I remember going past there one day, and he had it open. And I saw the back of this thing, and I think it was a HQ sedan. I don't think it was a Monaro, but he had the Tri-Light rear bumper on it, which was a customized sort of thing. I don't think they came out, they didn't come out factory like that, but I don't know how many people back then were actually doing that sort of thing. But after obviously grew up, moved out, that sort of thing, I never got to see if he finished that car. So I wouldn't mind actually reaching out now and seeing if he ever got around to finishing it, or if he's passed it on to his kids, or what happened with that car. So, because he would have been watching me working on mine sort of thing, and it would have been, if it was anything like me and I saw someone else with a similar car working on it, it would have, and I wasn't working on mine, it would have been giving me some motivation to get it going, that's for sure. So it would have been tough for him to, I reckon, see mine getting built and him having he's sitting in the shed under a cover the whole time.
Yeah. So that was the inspiration for your build in some ways, I guess, your neighbour's HQ?
Oh, but yeah, definitely. And like I said, the reason that we steered away from the HQ itself was, a lot of these parts are interchangeable anyway between HQ to Z. But the actual HQ chassis, that sort of thing, the car, it was quite difficult to get the car because of the racing at Barbagallo. Like a lot of those guys needed spares, they grabbed spares. So it just happened to be that a HZ popped up for me anyway. That was a good price and was workable.
So Brendan, back in the day, how did you find the space or even the time to build the HZ?
Well, space was pretty much, we had a double garage and pretty much kicked, I think it was Dad's car out. So Dad's car was out in the driveway, and I took up pretty much all the one side of the garage, and then it's no different now, to be honest. Like I've got the shed just about full of everything. That's sort of carried on. time, I guess, because I was still at school, come home from school, working there at night, and I don't know if it even happens these days where, you're in there working, it's bloody 1 o'clock in the morning and the mum comes in, Dad, are you going to bed yet? No, I'm finished yet. And go to bed and back up and straight back into it again, spend all weekend in it. Dad would go play golf on Saturday mornings and come back and there'd be a bit more done to it. And he'd get in and give us a hand.
Yeah, and mums and dads are great for that as well. I remember when I built one of my cars in the garage at home, and they gave up a lot of space for that. They gave up two garage spaces for that, and we were fortunate enough that we had another 2-car garage that the cars could stay in, but they gave up a lot of space, and that's what parents do, don't they? I mean,
that's it.
My mum and dad weren't really into cars, but they could see the passion, and they just give you the space at least. Don't know about the help, but anyway, it's great that your mum and dad were able to
that's it.
Well, and that's
for sure.
And that's one of the things that's so important about these stories is the fact that it's our parents and it's the upbringing that they give you that allows us to do these things. So
100%.
Really important. Really important.
Yeah, I hope the same happens when, we have kids. We haven't had kids yet, and that's that'd be great if the kids get into it when we have them. So
yeah.
Continue carried on.
No, that's right. And it's good to carry that on. And it's something that we need to instill in our youth, I strongly believe. I think there's a lot of focus on social media, and there's a lot of distractions out there these days. Getting back into the shed and working on these cars is so important for them. Really is.
I can tell you, I agree.
Yeah. Tell us, while we've been talking, we've been flashing pictures of the car up, but tell us any plans for the car in the future?
Yeah, so in the photos you've seen, it's sort of a mock-up between the HXHZ GDS and then the HXHJ GDS. So that sort of paint scheme with the blackouts and that sort of thing in a HZ. So look, I've got a few ideas. I think I might, because it's basically 2-pack paint, everything, the blackouts, the works.
Yeah.
So I think I want to get it repainted in the same colour, which is it's called Nullarbor Red. It's actually a really nice colour. Get it repainted, leave the blackouts out of it for now, and probably put them back in with, using vinyl or something like that, so I can chop and change.
Yeah.
Some of the parts I've been collecting because all the bumpers and that are colour coded. So I've got chrome bumpers again. Got some, really good chrome bumpers. So have both of them. I want to get the original bumpers I've got on there now repainted, so I can chop and change. I can put the chrome on. It's easy enough. It's a few bolts. So interior-wise, the interior is still really good. So it's just it's more the outside and more, making it. How do I put it? So it's obviously still P-platerized, the car, so it's got gauges on the bonnet, and things that you don't really want to attract. A bit more subtle, so that can take it out, have a go for a good cruise, and not have to stress too much about the attention.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. No, it's a great looking car, and it typifies the reason why we do this podcast is for these reasons, is to hear these stories about these cars, and I really love the stories in particular with the guys that have had them since they were before they had their license. I think that's awesome. I really do.
Yeah.
Really do. Brendan, just give us just where can we find Pico's Race Car, the YouTube channel and Facebook?
Yes, YouTube channel, obviously all the videos go up on there. Got Instagram, which I sort of had to learn because I do a bit of social media in general, but I've never had Instagram before. So everyone's on that now. So I've got Instagram and then obviously the Facebook page as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. No, excellent. That's really good. Good to hear. Tell us any other cars that you've had in the past that you've had and sold in the meantime?
Not like this one. Like I don't know. I don't know if it's just my personality. I don't like selling things. So obviously the HZ, there's been a couple of times where just circumstances I've almost had to look at getting rid of it. Yeah. Luckily haven't had to, but no, so I don't really get rid of things a lot, but I have got a couple of other cars. I've got a newer HSV, and I've got another old car, so it's a 78 as well, but it's not a Holden. It's an interesting one.
Well, tell us a bit about it.
That one has planned for being turned into a radio. So.
Right. Okay.
So it's a 78 733i Beamer. So it's definitely different. I mean, it's a cool car, and I can't wait to start working on it. At the moment, I'm trying to finish my shed because everything's piled in there at the moment. I can't really work on anything. So the Beamer's going to be a cool car. I think the only other Beamer race car I had is I've seen, pretty much anywhere, was Wayne Key's old door slammer. He used to have a 735, I think. So it's very similar looking to that, but it's a slightly earlier shape, so it's got a real shark nose look to it. So I think that car will be the one that go all out on the HZ. It'd still be a tough car, but everyone wants to have a race car that drives around the street. It's just not practical. So this thing will be a proper race car you can unleash in.
Yeah, okay. Oh, well, watch out, Steve Yotzi, eh? All right, Brendan, look, we really appreciate your time on coming on the podcast. We really appreciate that. We can find you on Facebook and YouTube, Because Race Car. Search you up there. Got some great content there. And as I said, really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me.
No worries. All right. Take care.
Talk and Power, your motorsport and motoring radio show. Podcasting across iTunes and talkandpower.com.au.